Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you're in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Key Marketing specializes in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to build your brand awareness or drive leads using social media ads. If you're ready to elevate your social media, go to keyheartmarketing.com or follow us on social media. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and I am so excited about today's guest. I am grateful to have met her over the last few months and gotten to spend more time with her and get to know all of the incredible things that she is doing right here in my backyard in San Antonio. So today I have Sharissa Martinez from Mr. Sparky San Antonio. Sharissa, if people are not familiar with you, please let them know who you are.
Hi, everybody. I am Sharissa Martinez, and I operate a Mr. Sparky franchise here in San Antonio, Texas. We are independently owned and operated along with my family. So my father owns the franchise, and then I work alongside my husband, and my brother is also involved on our team. I am the director of internal operations, so I oversee all of the administrative function of our business and just focus on growth. So growth, making sure our team is being developed and cultivated in the right way. I am extremely passionate about leading and developing high-performing teams. So making sure that we have all of the resources needed in order for our team members to thrive and perform at their best would fall under my wheelhouse.
I love that. Okay, so let's start like your dad, and I'm so lucky to have had conversations with George, so I have a little bit of context that people in the podcast don't have, but you basically grew up with a dad who was in the trades. So this is something that has kind of like been in your life, your whole life.
Yes. So I was born into the trades. My father started his electrical contracting business in the 80s, and he primarily focused on restaurants and retail finish outs. So commercial was kind of his bread and butter. As my brothers and I got older and, graduated high school, went off to college, he wanted something that we could kind of step into. And construction was one of those things that he was the estimator. He was the face. And it's really hard to bring your family along into that journey because the relationships are just built with basically the estimator and the owner. Residential contracting kind of expanded what all our roles could possibly be. There's a lot more customer service focus in residential. So he really wanted to transition his business, and that's where we came into the fold. And I think it was a really cool opportunity for all of us. So we all really were excited about it and jumped in on it. And I joined my father on this journey when I was 19. Wow. And now almost 20 years in, now I'm leading the team. So it's really exciting.
I speak to a lot of women, and everybody has like their own way of getting into the trades. But when you got in at 19, was this like a stepping stone for you? Or were you like, okay, like I'm probably just going to be here forever?
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure. At the time I was going to college, I attended St. Mary's University. I was on a pharmaceutical path. I was going to be a doctor of pharmacy. That's kind of like where I wanted to go with my career. And about 2-3 years in, actually it was my junior years when I realized science just wasn't, I was good at it, but it wasn't my personality. I just felt really closed off. There wasn't a whole lot of social interaction. I'm a social butterfly and could be really extroverted. So I realized that career path might not have best suited me. So when I had the opportunity to work with my dad, what began as just a job and a stepping stone that would, teach me how to work with people, teach me how to, broaden my communication skills. It just, I fell in love with it and I really began to enjoy it. Now, I did get married really young at 22. My husband was active duty Air Force at the time. So that was kind of another hurdle because we immediately after we got married, got stationed in Germany.
Oh my gosh.
So that took me away from the business for about 6 months to a year. So we were living in Germany, and then his next duty station was here in Abilene, Texas. So when he got shipped back, that allowed me to get back into the business and work remotely. So I was still able to answer phones, do all the scheduling, do all the dispatching from Abilene. So even though he was in the Air Force, I was still able to do this job. So I feel like I just kept finding my way back to Mr. Sparky.
Yeah.
So even though my life was taking all these turns that would pull me away from it, I would always just end up right back in it. And then after he got out of the military in 2013, I came back in full time and never looked back.
I love that. So I'm curious because I've seen you. I've seen your husband. I've seen how you guys lead your team, and it is all around like having, and you said it, like this growth mindset. And you even said something about growth translating into revenue. But I'm curious because we're not born with this idea. Like this is something that you learn over time. So tell me a little bit about your journey of learning about how mindset and that sort of discipline can lead to high performance in your life.
Yeah. So I had taken a break from college when my husband and I got married. It was like the last year of my degree. And what I realized is I needed to finish it. So when I went back to school, I had changed my degree from biology to business administration. And in that, I focused on organizational leadership. So even though I was just answering phones and dispatching, I really wasn't learning a whole lot of leadership in that role. Where I learned about leadership and organizational development was in college when I started focusing on that type of content. And there was a couple of courses that really opened my mind to how the psychology of leading people and leading teams, because I knew I wanted to lead, but I knew I had to be able to connect with all sorts of personality types. I had to understand the psychology of employees because it is very different from the employee and management and then ownership. There's 3 different levels. And growing up in the business, yes, I was the daughter of the owner, but I wasn't an owner. So I didn't share a lot of the same experiences that my father had. My journey was a little bit different. I was an employee. I wasn't seen as an employee because I was his daughter. So that was a challenge. So I knew I had to learn the leadership style. And so as I was learning those skills, I started implementing them as our team began to grow. So we started adding CSRs, and then we had another dispatcher. Before we knew it, there was like a team of 5 or 6 of us working in customer service. And that's where the leadership side of what I was doing started to come out. And oh my gosh, it was so much trial and error because it is hard. And I was really young. Yeah. And you're learning how to navigate through people's mindsets. And I feel like when I was younger, I took things so personally because I didn't know how to see the bigger picture. And so even though I had the classes that I was learning from in college, implementing the content and implementing the understanding of what I was learning, I found was totally different. You know, again, it was just through a lot of trial and error. I graduated with my degree, and then our parent company, our franchisor, offered courses in leadership as well. So I took advantage of those, and that's where it really started changing how I looked at the business. And even though I wasn't an owner at the time, I started looking at it from a management ownership perspective. And if team members were frustrated about something or didn't understand the why behind some of the decisions that we were making, it taught me how to communicate with them and figure out why they had some apprehension or why they were concerned about what we were doing. And I learned how to lead and communicate what we were doing to them in order to get the result out of the team that I wanted. And it's just been compounding all these years since then.
What was that like implementing that alongside your husband and your dad? Because we all everything you just said, these are all things that you were learning and you were implementing. And I'm sure that there was some resistance Brian coming from the military background, maybe he had a little bit more experience in kind of what you were trying to implement. But I know that with your dad, he didn't have a residential company. Like you said, at first, there was no structure to it. And
it wasn't. Yeah.
How did you navigate that with them?
So dad had a very linear mindset when it came to leading people. Most of his employees at the time were 1099 employees when he was working new construction, and you would contract these groups, these teams to come in, do the job, and then after the job was finished, they weren't in the company until the next job came on. So it was always just him and my mom that was working accounting. And then we also had another team member that typed up all of his estimating, sent out the invoices, and just handled the communication between him and the contractors.
Yeah.
And so he really didn't have to lead teams. So his perspective was totally different from what I was learning in college and learning through my leadership development courses with the teams that were coming in. So there was a lot of friction there. My husband came from the military. He was security forces at the time. And then he was also a staff sergeant. So he came in with leadership skills.
Right.
And coming from the military, everything was just very organized. It was this way. This is how we organize it. This is the expectation, and you follow it. And of course, there would be some nuances to what we were doing that you would have to lead through. And he really brought that focus in. Now, he has a passion for leading teams. He loves leading teams. He's extremely competitive. And he was able to rally the guys in a way that nobody in our company history could. My husband's an excellent communicator, and he is very different than my dad and I. And I kind of, as an empath, because I am an empath, want to make everybody feel good. So I was learning how to navigate what they were wanting and how to get what they wanted. But my ways were often overcomplicated because it was I was trying to dance around certain things and just protect the team from my dad, who was just do what we're supposed to do and that's it. And then my husband never beats around the bush. He's very direct, but in a good way. So he was able to teach me how to communicate in that way that really allowed us to start growing. And between all the three different types of personalities, I feel like it allowed each one of us to play our part and to grow our company into what it is today. And now we have a leadership team of 7, which is just amazing. And everybody brings to the table something very different, which we learned through just my husband, me, and my father. It was just us 3 for so long that when we started growing a leadership team, we also recognized the importance of having different personality types because they see things from different vantage points and different views, and then they have different opinions. But then we all come together and bring it towards, apply our opinions to the common goal, which allows us to scale a lot faster. So that, the working in the family, working with my husband, there was friction, but I would say more times than not, it was good. It was really good. It has been, and it still is.
I think that you bring up a really good point, especially I have created a leadership team in my company. And I think that people listening to this podcast at every level of their business, there's eventually a time where you're bottlenecking everything if you don't have other people in your company who are able to make decisions. But the way that you just described them, everybody has such a different viewpoint. That's how I feel about my leadership team, where I'm just neither one of them are like me, but they're really not like each other either. And they're just they're so good at these specific things that I look to them in awe of oh, I'm so glad that you think the way that you do, because I don't think like that at all. And it's such a gift to have different ways of thinking on your team to all come together and bring those perspectives like you mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
So good. So before we move on, the last thing I really am curious about is but I'm so grateful to have gotten to see y'all's quarterly town meeting.
Town hall.
Town hall. I'm like, I don't know why I can't think of the word. But I loved what you said about who you are here. Like you should be the same person in every place, like in business and in life. And I know that you live a very disciplined life in order to operate at a high level. When do you think that came into play? Because I think that in order to be a really strong leader and like in the level of company that you guys are running, there is a level of discipline that you need in your personal life. And so how do you think that that's evolved over time, or like how you got there?
I think it's an evolutionary process for sure. That is something that I've learned from, I have quite a few mentors that I'm super grateful for, because each one of them contributes something different to my life and to who I am. Each one of them introduced different principles, different things, different ideologies that I would need to focus on in order to get to where I'm going. Working in the trades, this is an industry that moves extremely fast. It's moving extremely fast. The people are changing as far as the team members that you're bringing onto your team to operate these businesses. It requires so much focus and attention that you literally cannot afford to have truly a bad day. And everybody has bad days.
Yeah.
So how do you get past that? And it requires literally a form of discipline. There are so many incredible operators out here, not only in just the San Antonio market, but across the nation, that all have been hosted on podcasts or, put out great content on their socials. And each one of them literally constantly, I feel like, defaults back to discipline in their life, whether it be their financial discipline, their fitness levels on how they're caring for their minds and their bodies, their financial wellness, their faith. It all just, comes into the big picture. I struggled personally with trying to balance it all. And over the last several years, because it's kind of like been a journey of mine as well on how to consistently have discipline, because you can be really motivated, but just discipline beats motivation any day of the week. Motivation eventually dies when times get hard and you're just in the mud and you can't see, how am I going to get through this? The motivation wanes and it easily can be depleted. Discipline, however, is what thrives when the times are hard. It's just do what I know how to do. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Do the same things over and over and over again, and you will get the results, even though right now it may seem like it's impossible. Just follow the plan and move on. It's just like in business. If you structure your business with SOPs and processes to operate your business, when things get hard, you're not changing all of your processes and procedures. You will do that literally daily if that's what you do. So it's the same thing in your personal life. You're not going to be changing things over and over and over and over again and hoping to get consistent results. So for me, it's been a journey of making sure I'm fueling my body properly. I have an amazing wellness team here in San Antonio that literally, I speak to that team, text message, social media daily, because it's like, I'm feeling this, I'm thinking this. It's like, come in, do this, come in, do that. They're just great, and they make sure they hold me accountable to making sure, am I fueling my body properly? Am I getting the supplementation that I need for where I'm deficient? Am I being active within reason? Because I think that's another thing that really can get people to fall off of what they're doing, is if they have this perception, I need to be in the gym 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I need to be active, and that's the only way I could be fit. And it's so much deeper than that. Your mindset, your mental clarity, especially when you're operating a trade business at the standard in which you have to be, the mental clarity is everything. And you can work out twice a week and have amazing mental clarity without having to, do all the things, as long as you're fueling your body right, you're sleeping good, you're staying focused on the mission and the vision of what it is that you need to be doing. So I think that, gosh, that's a whole other podcast I could do because I'm extremely passionate about that. And that is something that I discuss a lot with my team because we sometimes can be sucked into their work. They are just working a lot and sometimes they'll forget, like, hey, you have family obligations over here. You have you're not taking care of your fitness in a way that, what are you fueling your body with? Guys in the trade live out of like the Circle K,
right?
The hot rollers at QT or fast food, whatever that they can get. And it's like, guys, it's 100 degrees outside. You're working in an attic,
Monster.
You're dehydrated. You've had 5 monsters today. So then by the time you get home, you're exhausted, but you can't even sleep because your body just had 1,000 milligrams of caffeine throughout the day. So it's something that I feel like nobody talks about in the trade industry as well, with how active these team members are. So, I digress, but
no, I love that. And I think it goes along with your core values. And like, that's what I was so impressed with, and what I love so much about your town hall is when you guys addressed your team, it was really not in a sense of like, it wasn't like you guys are in trouble. It's like, in order for you to really be successful in this job, you have to live in this way, and I want this for you. But if you don't want this for you, then there's nothing I can do about that. But
exactly,
I think that's kind of like the mindset.
Yeah. Right? And we have a lot of team members that you heard several get up and share their own testimony. We have several team members that have been tenured with us for quite some time, and they love sharing their testimonies with new team members because it is hard when you're not used to discipline and you're not used to structure. When you're put in that situation, it could be like blinding. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not used to this. And it's not rules. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle change. It's like, everybody's an adult, right? On this team.
Right.
So it's like, I can't force you to do anything, but it would be wrong of me to not share with you the tools that I use in my position in order for me to operate at peak performance and have success in my life. What kind of leader would not share these tools with their team members? Like, it doesn't compute for me that I would hold myself to a standard and not share that standard with my team members and teach them how to utilize the same tools that I use and adopt the same structure that I do in their own way, because again, it's your own life. I can't control what you do outside of here. I can control what you do in here. But if you these tools, I promise you, when things are tough or when the busy season's here and you're just operating on go, 20 hours out of 24 hours of every day, all of these tools are going to help you navigate what's literally on your plate right now. So I love sharing these tools with our team. I can't force them to do anything, but I know that that's how our team is different from the other teams here in our market, because I genuinely care about sharing these tools with them on how to find success in the different aspects of their life, not just while they're here in the building or on my team.
I think that's really interesting, and like kind of leads us to this idea of like, you guys have been incredibly successful. This overnight success took obviously George's entire life, right? And then brought you guys to where you are now. But how much of that do you think has really been around this, what you guys focus on as far as culture, team, like being a huge attributing factor to the growth that you guys have had?
So I would say it's the culture of our apex mindset. Is that what you're asking? Like our mission, our vision, and our core values?
Yeah.
So, gosh, that's a whole thing as well. We created these core values about 2 years ago, not completely understanding what that would mean. And everything that we do literally comes back to those behaviors. And our mindset is apex. And so being the apex of everything that it is that we do, with that comes growth and comes success. It does. You can't fail when you're disciplined, and you can't fail when you're operating, through humility, through integrity, through accountability. You can't, right? So all of this has fueled our growth and creating a team and a culture that we can see carrying us into the future and achieving the direction that we want to go. Yeah. And our goal is, we are an electrical service provider here in San Antonio. There are home service companies that focus on several different trade markets, but we focus just on one. And we believe that having that focus on just one allows us to channel our energy to be the best at that one thing. Yeah. And so being the apex of that one thing. And so it also, it led us to, okay, in order for us to have that, our team members have to be the best at what they do. And they have to be held to a standard that literally meets our mission, meets our vision, and all of our core behaviors are literally ingrained in them in order to scale and grow to where we need to be. Because if we don't focus on those things, you're kind of growing just like the Wild West before you know it. And this isn't, I'm not speaking on this necessarily for myself. I think when we were smaller, we had some trial and error. We had scaled really quickly from about 2014 to about 2018. But what we realized is we scaled the wrong way. We had the wrong team members on the bus. We had people that independently all had their own mindsets of the direction of the company. They had their own ideologies of how to grow our company. And, we get to 2018 and it was like, what is this? Yeah. It's like, as owners, we were held hostage to our team. And it's like, who's leading this bus here? It's not, whose vision is this? Yeah. And it's not that we didn't want our team to have an input. It's none of them even had an idea of where they were going, because each independently, nobody had the same thought process. So, we had to tear it down and then rebuild it back up. And now it's growing in a way that is going to scale to where it is that we want to go.
Yeah, I think that that's so interesting and relatable, because there are always going to be moments, like, as much as we want to be great from the beginning, there's going to be times where it's just not working anymore, and you have to take a good look at it, and instead of see it as failure, see it as an opportunity to really figure out what that next level is going to look like.
Yeah, there's like stages to this. And that's what I've learned even with mentors that are operating at 2-3 times our size. I call it hitting walls. There's like different walls when you're scaling. What you need to do from 0 to your first million. I mean, it is a grind. Right. Pretty much your mission, your vision, your core behaviors. It's really hard. I mean, you may have them. Very few people even start with them. But what you create them to be in that time frame may not exist in the next phase, because you're just grinding it out. Then once you get to 1 million to 3 million, you're trying to like stabilize. And now you're like, okay, the engine's running. We got the leads. The leads are coming in. We're growing. We have some, a good amount of team members on the team. So now the owners are able to work on their business and not necessarily work in their business. But what they're learning is like, oh, the way I did it may not be scalable, because unless I'm controlling everybody out in the field to do it my way, it's not working. So what am I doing? I need to start process, procedures, and kind of organizing how we do things within the business. And then you get to a wall like by 3 million, pretty much 3 to 7, that you're like, oh, that mission, that vision, we're scaling fast, but what's the direction here? Because is revenue important? You know what I mean? I think Tommy Mello says it best is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. And it's usually that $3 to $7 million mark where owners are like, we're making money. And then they see their P&L and it's like, where's all the money? It's all
right.
gone. So
Yeah.
now it's like your team scaling your business. And then you're like, wait a minute. We're not aligned. Where's that
Yeah.
mission, vision, and those behaviors? Because we have to like actually be profitable if we're going to stay in business. Right.
Yeah.
So it's getting over these walls and you're hitting them and you're growing. And it's just an evolutionary process to growing. And I think it applies to any business as well. I think it's not just tied to just the trade business. It's just business in general and what those little scaled milestones are, especially when you're leading teams.
I love that. So you guys have such a huge focus on your team mindset. What percentage of your business is it repeat customers, referrals, and then like how much are you guys having to focus on new business versus these warmer lead sources, basically?
So, that is something that, again, going through this wall, going through these phases, at this current phase that we're in, we've realized how we need to put more emphasis on returning customers. We do have, I would say, about 15% of our customers of our business is returning customers. Less than 5% is referrals, which I would really like to see beefed up. Referrals can be complicated in a business like ours for several different reasons, but when it comes to recurring businesses, there's reasons we have memberships in place for that. And that is something that we have been really, really focusing on beefing up. The average tickets on returning customers is much higher. Even though it's a lower percentage of our business, what we found is they already like us. So they're going to spend money with us. They like, they get access to exclusive appointment time frames, emergency windows. They get access to discounts on certain products that we're unrolling out into the market as well. So the membership opportunities in our business is something that we've always had. We've just never really focused on really capturing it in a way that we are now, especially as we're scaling, because at this size, I mean, right now we're spending about $2 million annually on our marketing budget. That, I mean, I want to say right now it's at almost 20%, 22%. That can't be, we cannot grow at that.
Yeah.
Because we're trying so hard to capture new business. Whereas it's like, okay, wait, we need to focus on what we have.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper. And
I was going to say, that's honestly an incredible opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. So that is something that we're focusing on now, because you can't just, that's not the answer. It's just to be increasing your marketing budget and just be like blowing it to capture new leads. Like that's not the smartest thing to do either. So now it's going to be more of, how do we retain the customers that we have and recapture the opportunities and on the estimates that were left at all the customers that we've been to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's exciting. I love that. Okay. So we are coming to the end of this podcast, but at the end of every episode, we ask our guests the same question, which is, you're on the Kee To Growth podcast. So what would you say is the key to growth?
The key to growth, honestly, is staying focused on the big picture of what it is that you're trying to do. When you're in it, and when you're hitting speed bumps and you're trying to overcome hurdles in business, every day there's going to be something. There's going to be something that pops up. If you get completely drowned and bogged down with all of these little things, you will completely lose sight of your big picture. You will lose sight of your mission. You'll lose sight of your vision. And it doesn't take very long before you snap and realize, how did I get so off course? It's like a sail ship out in the middle of the ocean. Just a few things can go wrong, and I am so far off course. And we always refer to our business as a cruise ship. Getting this thing to turn and get back on course is an insane hurdle.
Right.
So the key to growth, focus on where you're going, focus on what the overall mission and vision is, keep that in your forefront, and execute the tasks that will help you stay on that course.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to be there. delegate to your team members. They're resilient and all of them have the tools. As if you're leading them properly and you're giving them the resources they need to thrive, they love the opportunity to solve little problems. Let them have them. And as a leader and as an owner, your job is to focus on the big picture. And if you stay focused on that, you can't fail. Keep good relationships, build good relationships with good partners. You have been a great partner. You're an example of one of those, relationships that I developed not very long ago. I think it was November we all met in the sisterhood.
I'm grateful.
Just be open-minded to meeting new people and getting out there to learn what others are doing. And gosh, success is going to happen. It's all there. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
I love it. If people want to connect with you, where would be the best place for them to do that?
Right now, Facebook. I am putting, so much focus on my Facebook right now. I'm working on a LinkedIn, but LinkedIn still, I feel like I get so much just garbage, spam. It's so much spam right now. So I felt like I was wasting a lot of time funneling through the spam on LinkedIn. So right now it's Facebook. So find me on Facebook, Sharissa Martinez. So the name you see here, that's the name that you'll find me on. I have all my Mr. Sparky information on there as well. Connect with me and I'm happy to share more of my journey and insights on any hurdles that you may be facing. So yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. This has been incredible.
Likewise. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.